let's continue our consideration regarding our perception of the world. Another common source of knowledge illusion is the so-called social proof syndrome. Since we are, as it were, herd creatures, we very often take as truth what other people think about any subject. Not only that, but we tend to imitate the behavior, attitudes, and opinions of the social environment in which we reside. This is a form of crowd psychology. This is certainly a significant limitation, as the truth does not usually coincide with the voice of the majority. After all, intelligent people are in the vast minority. However, replicating the opinions of others is a strong defense mechanism. It provides an illusory sense of social security and being right. On the other hand, presenting one's own dissent requires courage and sometimes results in exclusion or rejection by one's own environment. During one of the recent conversations on political issues, I heard as the crowning argument of my confusion that my interlocutor doesn't know anybody in the Warsaw milieu who shares my views. It's a pity. Anyway, if 50 million people say a foolish thing, it's still a foolish thing. Another simplification of reality is the phenomenon of cultural associations, that is, making judgments and forming opinions based on definitions, symbols, external attributes, names, or titles. Yet, these definitions were previously created by someone and can now be misleading, false. A symbol of something is never fully definition of the phenomenon, thing, or person. With this approach, we will confuse a scientific title with wisdom, money with prosperity, and a menu with dinner. It once happened to me that before the start of one of my training courses, a participant approached me and said that she would be very happy to attend a class with such a wise lecturer. When I asked on what basis she rated my intelligence so highly, she replied that I looked so smart because I was wearing a suit, white shirt, tie, and most importantly, glasses. Since then, I have always put on my glasses before starting any further training session. This type of perception of reality results in simplification through labeling and following through patterns. We perceive reality like a closet with many numbered and named drawers. It becomes unreliable when we categorize people into these drawers based on their external features, characteristics, clothing, education, background, skin color, or religion. From such a schematic approach, it's just one step to make radical judgments about individual people, even entire social groups or nations. This leads to primitive valuing, generalization, and being convinced of one's only right culture or truth. In its extreme but all too common form, duality thinking emerges as a black and white formula. Such individuals believe that something is either good or bad, smart or stupid, beautiful or ugly. This approach aligns with the peculiarities of the human mind, which, in the onslaught of information and stimuli from the environment, activates a defense system in this manner. This allows us to function normally in a complex, increasingly intricate social environment. The cognitive illusion, however, is that in real life, such dualism does not exist at all, unless we refer to fairy tales, myths, traditional values, or religion beliefs. The real world does not consist of pure good and absolute evil, but of complex beings and actions, a multitude of intricate interactions, diverse cultures, customs, and different perspectives. The concept of bending knowledge to experience and theory presents another cognitive barrier. We perceive our surroundings based on our past experiences, resulting in our selection and bending of facts to align with our established theories and perceptions. These are merely our individual conclusions about a past that has already occurred and will not return, while the current reality is entirely different. Beneath this surface of subjective opinions and appearances lie our longings, dreams, fears, and desires. What's worse, this attitude characterizes many scientists for whom their theories have become their reality, viewing the world merely as an imperfect model. In doing so, individuals tend to allow into their consciousness only what is pleasant and comfortable, while rejecting which is unpleasant, uncomfortable, or ugly. This is why they become so susceptible to the influence of various false prophets or politicians who disseminate illuminating visions during religious sessions or election campaigns. Over time, people find it increasingly difficult to acknowledge these illusory choices, which have the effect of fixing and suppressing everything, including obvious facts that contradict these established notions. The result of these limitations of human perception is an existence with specific cognitive bubbles, because it's more secure and comfortable that way. The bubbles in which most people function form a cycle of acquaintances whose opinions we listen to and accept, the chosen homogeneous media from which we draw our knowledge of the world, the paths we take, the views we produce, and the values we accept. At the same time, we don't allow ourselves to think that the world is wider, that someone may have different views, not inferior to ours, or that there are also other cultures, religions, or canons of values. Albert Einstein once said that an American's world is as big as his newspaper. One can boldly transpose this thought to today and say that the modern person's world is as big as his or her smartphone screen. Being trapped to these mental bubbles means that people don't see the world in its broader dimensions, don't understand its complexity, and don't accept other views, values, cultures, religions, or perspective. This is akin to the perspective of a frog in a well that does not know what the ocean is, and the sky seems ridiculously small to it. Many people, due to their limited perception, find themselves remarkably close to this frog perspective. The limitation of human perception is therefore the main reason for our numerous mistakes in life and for wandering along paths that lead nowhere. It is impossible to overlook the importance of emotions, which are inextricably linked to our cognitive processes. It is safe to say that the greater the ignorance, the more room there is for opinions built on emotions. However, where reason sleeps, unrealistic visions are born, and often the proverbial diamonds emerge. Therefore, it's worth considering how to manage our perception of our surroundings and the world so that it helps rather than hinders us in our daily and long-term decisions, allowing us to enjoy life to the fullest. First, is it beneficial to become aware of the imperfection of our senses and maintain a distance from the images we consequently create. It is also advisable to learn about different perspectives and points of view, especially regarding the most critical issues in our lives. We'll make considerable progress if we don't judge people and phenomena on superficial grounds, viewing people through the prism of the masks they wear and evaluating phenomena and things based on fragmentary features and attractive packaging. What seems most important in all this is that most of the world's opinions and perceptions are formed in our heads. Furthermore, our life is shaped by our thoughts. If we realize this, if we can emerge from our bubbles and rid ourselves of the conviction of our infallibility, our lives will become more valuable and vibrant. Till the next episode, if you like it, please subscribe. Ciao.